shortly. Thank you. We do record each session so that if you do miss something or if you have to leave 10 minutes earlier, for example, today, then you can catch up on the recording after the session, and all the sessions are recorded and we'll show you where they're saved shortly. Yeah, and Ken, you've got a content warning there.
I do. Just finishing off on the recording, we do really encourage you to come along to the live sessions because we have interaction and the like, but that's there as a backup. And if you need to, or if you want to rewatch bits of it and really clarify things in your mind. But yeah, the content warning, we don't have anything overly graphic, but we do show some road crash scenes to work out how we can prevent them in the future and how we can minimize the severity of those incidents in the future. So if that's something that could disturb you, just be aware that that is in the content, and we'll flag it as it comes. Who are you, Kathy?
Oh, look, it's a question we're all asking ourselves, especially me. So my name's Kathy DeCouris and I'm the training manager here at Safe System Solutions. I've been in the road-related technical training space for far too long, but I am your program moderator, actually, and my colleague, Kez, might take over in the later sessions, so it's exciting to see who will turn up. But I'm here in the background and I will, please contact me if you can't make a session, any technical issues. If you can't find your login for the LMS, I've already got a message from someone this morning. I'll respond to that one shortly. In the session, you can chat. And so I'm monitoring that webinar chat that you've all jumped in and said hello and made some comments on. So you can ask questions in there. You can make comments in there. If you want to ask a question anonymously, you can do so on the Q&A section, or you can use your name as well. So I'll monitor that one as well. And if you want to talk, if you go, hey, I've had enough of this and I want to hear my own voice for a bit, raise your hand and we can unmute you that way and we can have a chat. Now, if you have any problems, usually the IT 101, switch it off, switch it back on, fixes most things. So if you can't hear us or if any sort of tech issues, switch it off, switch it back on, and you should be right. Otherwise, you can dial in on the phone. Just get in touch with me. If that doesn't work, shoot through emails. You've got the training at Safe System Solutions where we've been sending you all the information so far. So just write through to that one and we'll be in touch. Thanks, Ken.
Kathy. Thanks, Kathy. And with the chat, just shoot through your questions, everybody, as you think of them. Don't wait until I say, does anybody have any questions? Because you'll start typing and then I'll move on and then we'll have to come back. So just as you think of it, put it in there. Kathy's very good at filtering out ones that have already been answered as we tick along and grouping questions. So, let's get a good bit of chat going. Feel free to, comment to everybody, which is a little drop down as opposed to just hosts and panelists, because it's nice to have a little bit of discussion in the background.
Oh, we've got a hand up already. So oh no, yeah, it might have been accidental. Sometimes that happens. That's okay.
Right. I'm going to keep ticking on.
Who are you, Ken?
Well, there's two people here. One of them is me. So my name's Ken Beer. I'm the principal engineer at Safe System Solutions. I have been doing road safety auditing for a long time in previous roles within government and governments, and a lot of policy stuff, a lot of auditing, and then a lot of work with Austroads and developing technical guidance and the like. And we've asked Fergus Tate to present one of the sessions or part of one of the sessions, and many of you will know Fergus from his many years in New Zealand road safety, and yeah, so he'll be coming in one of the later sessions. I've put a little QR code there to my LinkedIn. I do like to continue the conversation in road safety. I mean, it's a never-ending ongoing conversation, and we're always finding new things and publishing them on LinkedIn or putting them out there. That's just one of the ways we do it. So feel free to connect with me, and maybe you'll have questions or you'll be able to answer my questions and these sorts of things. So I've got that down the bottom there as well for a few slides. So you can get your phone out and see if you can make that work. And back on the other slide, you saw Fergus's contact details and my contact details. So you will be able to get in contact throughout the course about anything of the technical nature, any of the specifics, or anything after the sessions you just want to have a chat about. Learning management system. Kathy, what is this LMS thing you speak of?
Thanks, Ken. So the learning management system, everyone's received, and many people have jumped in and already had a look around. Basically, it's where we house all of the training material. It's where we'll put the recordings of each webinar. It's where you've got to jump in and do a couple of assignments and those sorts of things. So for those of you, maybe recently graduated from university, you'll be very familiar with this. For those of you like me, maybe, university was a long time ago, could be something new to you, but basically it's just the housing of all the training materials, all the resources. There's a heap of resources in there, and we'll add to that in each session as well. A copy of these slides is in there as well. So basically, if you haven't already jumped in there, your login and password would have come to you via Safe Systems Solutions email. So that may be in your junk or something like that. Any problems at all, please just email through to the training inbox and I'll sort that out for you. But you do need access to it. There will be a short quiz after each session that we ask you to jump in there and do. So, so do jump on there and sing out if you're having any problems.
You can't pass the course without access to the LMS, so make it happen. You won't get any certificates without getting in there and doing the quizzes and uploading assignments. Thank you, Kathy. Right, a couple more little things before we kick off with some content. We have a few little interactive things that just keep you on your toes during the sessions, because I know these online sessions, there's the temptation to, be doing the emails on the side and finishing off that roundabout design that you're a little bit behind on and like, but we've got a few things just to try and keep you engaged. One is Wally the Wombat. Some of you know Wally, friends with Wally from other training courses. You've got to keep an eye out for the Wally the Wombat warning sign. You can see it there. It appears in slides throughout the session. You've got to keep a count for each session. How many times do you see that sign? And that will be one of the quiz questions at the end. I'm going to cross that one out because it's not one. Wally count 0 at the moment, but keep an eye out. That could be hidden around. Also, we like to give out prizes, don't we, Kathy? And you're in the prize pit.
It is why I'm in the prize pit. So you might get Superman. Have I got him? No. No, you'll get something better than Superman, if there is such a thing. And what happens is if you ask good questions, if you answer questions, if you join us a little bit early in the following sessions, we like to run a bit of trivia, and it could be road safety trivia, or it could be anything that takes my fancy trivia. So just a bit of warm-up trivia before the session starts whilst we're waiting to kick off. And so you can win prizes for all of those sorts of things. And the prizes will come to you at the end of the session with your certificate. Sorry, at the end of the series, not at the end of the session. They will not magically appear on your desk in 2 hours' time. One day we'll get there, but yeah, not quite. We're
working on that with 3D printers. We could mail it.
Absolutely.
No, but you may have received a pack already, a little welcome pack. Don't worry if you didn't receive it. Nothing vital in there. Just a few things to keep you sustained during the sessions. But it'll be similar to that at the end. You'll get, assuming you successfully complete the course and any prizes you win, you'll get your certificate and any prizes. It's always fun to see what prizes arrive. So ask your questions, answer questions, get involved. Now we do set a competency benchmark here for this course, and we're not going to hide from this, that we only give certificates out to people who get over this benchmark. And to successfully complete this course and to register as a road safety auditor in some jurisdictions, New Zealand doesn't, and I'll talk a lot about this, but New Zealand doesn't have an actual register of accredited road safety auditors or licensed road safety auditors, but other jurisdictions do. And this course makes you eligible for other jurisdictions if you want to go down that track. It's what New Zealanders would be looking for. But to successfully get that certificate, you need to attend 4 out of the 5 live webinars and view that one if you have to miss one. Now, if for some reason just life won't behave and you have to miss more, you need to talk to Kathy or Kez or some email the training, and somebody needs to just have a work out how we can do that. You need to complete all the set tasks, and you need to get 80% or better, obviously, on things that are marked, quizzes and assignments. We do actually mark your assignments and audits, and so one of our senior auditors will go through those, and if you don't do so well, they'll certainly provide detailed feedback, and they are available to coach you one-on-one. So if you're really struggling with it, with anything, you'll be able to get somebody who will set up a Zoom meeting with you or a Teams meeting and really talk through in detail some of the things you're finding it hard to get your head around. So that's successful completion of the course. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the varied lands that we are running this course on across New Zealand, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And with that, Kathy, I will see if you have anything else, admin logistics, while people type in any questions they've got about the course or the like. Anything we missed, Kathy?
I think we've covered it all, Ken. And I guess just a reminder, it is a learning exercise, this whole thing. So don't be too frightened by the 80% pass mark, especially if you're like me and haven't, studied for anything for quite some time. This is a learning exercise. And as Ken mentioned, we have one-on-one coaching opportunities and plenty of feedback. The idea is that we want you to learn how to do a road safety audit, safe system audit as best you can, and get out there and do them.
You have 3 attempts at everything.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, I think people are generally pretty happy, but if you do think of an admin logistics question as we're going, just type it in. Kathy will be behind the scenes. But I want to start jumping into some of the content. And we will have a little stretch break, fill your coffee up break in about 45 minutes. It'll be short, so but we will get into it. Okay. I want to start just telling you the overarching objectives of this course overall. Now, I don't like slides with this many words on it, so don't expect many more of these, but we want to talk about and learn about the process of road safety audit and safe system audit. Now, I'm going to underline their process. So there is no possible way within the time we have that we can go through everything you need to know from a technical perspective as a road safety auditor. In fact, that's just a lifelong journey that you continue to learn new things, build understanding about different areas, and start to see things in certain ways, right? What we can get across is this process of road safety auditing and some basic skills, okay? So we're just getting you started and getting everybody on the same page. I'm going to present some examples of common issues that come up in audits. And as I say, these are just common issues, but I think they're really good examples of how road safety auditors or safe system auditors think and see things and the kind of stuff you're looking for. But, it's endless what an auditor may find. We want to ensure that you have a mindset of considering all road users. cyclists, motorcyclists, heavy vehicles, pedestrian cars, yeah, everybody on all these different modes. And we're seeing new modes appear, every day now. And so we have to be considering all road users. We want to encourage auditing as a really good tool to improve road safety. And of course, answer any questions you've got on road safety audits or safe system audits. All right, there's a Wally. So Wally count is 1. That's as much Wally assistance as I'm going to give you through this course. So keep your eyes peeled. Okay, now, if you are slightly confused about what's going on in New Zealand associated with road safety audit, safe system assessment, I don't blame you. Okay, it is a transition phase, as Kathy mentioned. We are seeing a whole lot of new stuff coming online, and people still doing old road safety audits, and then some people jumping into these safe system audits, some doing safe system assessments, and we've got a whole lot of different things going on. So let me explain this diagram to start. Austroads, and many of you know Austroads. Austroads is the body which is has all of the different road authorities from Australia and New Zealand as members, or the state and national road authorities, and tries to incorporate local government as well. Austroads has the Austroads Guide to Road Safety, and part 6 of that is road safety audit. Now, I was technical advisor to Austroads on that document, and lots of people working on it. And it has been, so it was updated and released in 2022. Okay. New Zealand has had the road safety audit procedure for projects, the 2013 document. Okay, some of you may be familiar with that, seen that, have used that, and be quite sort of aware of the content of that. But that's been superseded. There's also a thing called the Safe System Assessment Framework, which is another Austroads document from 2016. And that lays out a different process to look at road infrastructure and road safety programs and understand their safe system alignment. So what New Zealand has done, what Katahi led this, is to say, let's take the content that's still relevant out of the 2013 guide, the new stuff that's coming out here, and this safe system assessment framework, which we really like, and combine them into one set of guidelines. And we'll call it the Safe System Audit Guidelines. And this was only released late last year. So it's a very new document. It's a very new process. But what I'll say is that the process is still quite similar to the 2013 process in terms of the auditing. We do chuck a safe system assessment on the top of it, which is a process that I'm not going to teach you in detail in this course. I'm going to be teaching you the audit component, right? And it very well aligns with this document. Now, that may have clarified things, or it might have made things less clear for you. But what I will be taking you through is the process set out in the Safe System Audit Guidelines. You will get to the end of this and you will be able to do a safe system audit, except for you will probably need some more learning and some more thinking around the first aspect of this, which is the safe system assessment part, and then the road safety audit part, if that makes sense. So you'll be absolutely clear on that. You'll get a few insights on that, but that one's probably where you'll either need to do some more reading or do the safe system assessment course, or have a go at it and learn over time, or partner up with somebody who is good at that, has experience with that, and you'll learn that process as well. So please put your questions in if you're still confused about that. I don't blame you. It is now New Zealand process that you should be using the Safe System Audit Guidelines. You should be following that process. They are So Qatar here has put their hand up and said, these are out, these are to be used, but we do want feedback. We want feedback on, where it doesn't work and things that we could possibly change. They will, and they do intend to release an updated version based on industry's feedback. Okay, just quickly show this diagram, which is out of the Australia's Guide to Road Safety Part 6. And this is just, again, context setting, so don't get overly concerned about the complexities here. But we have, sort of safety visions of a road network, and, things like principles, safe system principles, sort of movement of place or one network framework stuff, general speed zoning and road stereotypes and the like. Then we sort of have proactive treatments and reactive treatments or techniques. Sorry, I should say techniques. So road safety audit fits in that proactive technique section. So what we mean by proactive is we don't need to wait for crashes to happen to be able to identify risk on the road network or in a design or something that's about to be built. We can use our knowledge that we have and identify risks before people are killed or seriously injured and try to get those out of the road system or get them out of the design so they're never built in the first place. Reactive treatments, that's when crashes have happened and you have a crash history. So a crash reduction study, a black spot study, you've got a lot of crashes at a location and you analyze in detail those crashes and you try to look for patterns and specific things that have happened, and then you look for treatments, okay? So these are different processes, right? They share a lot of similar, characteristics of understanding, but one, you have to predict the crashes, and one, you are able to look at the crashes that have happened. We do have this other thing called predictive techniques, and they're more sort of specific methodologies just to predict those crashes. And as we've talked about there, safe system assessments are sort of interlinking into that with the safe system audit guidelines. As I say, don't get too caught up on it. I just want to start stressing this point that a road safety audit is not a way that you go and look at an area with a whole lot of crashes. Okay, that's a crash reduction study or a black spot investigation or a crash investigation study. Road safety audit is slightly different. Okay, first thing I want to say is, and this is the biggest misconception with road safety audits, okay, is people think because it's got the term audit in it, this is a rigorous compliance check with the standards, okay? And that is not what a road safety audit is. So standards and guidelines and documented processes, they are a good starting point for any road design, any upgrade or the like, absolutely. And they have a lot of thinking behind them and usually a lot of safety embedded in them. But simply following standards does not guarantee safety. And we know there's lots of roads out there that have been built to standard and people have been killed and seriously injured. And that could be because the standard of the time has risk built into it. It could be because the combination of standards working together creates an unsafe scenario. In isolation, they might be okay, but combined, they don't work. It could be that the context of that specific area that you're working on, the standard was never thought about in that context. So there's many reasons why meeting standards does not guarantee you safety. Right? So a road safety audit is not a standards review, but it's very useful as an auditor to know the standards know sort of how they were developed and what they're trying to achieve, and be able to look into that a bit, and then holistically look at the scheme, the design, the existing road, and make your judgment call as to how people can be killed or seriously injured in that area. So I think I need to give you an example there, because this is such a critical point about safe system auditing or road safety auditing. And I'll use those two terms sort of interchangeably throughout this course. But here's a relatively new road, a new motorway, and a tragic event has occurred where a heavy vehicle driver has been killed. And you can see there that it had a barrier system. Let me tell you now, this had some of Australasia's best road designers working on this. They were exceptionally experienced, brilliant road designers. They designed a fantastic road, and you would say, like, if you went through as a check against standards, they met everything. See, there was a barrier system there. And let's say that barrier system was a test level 4 barrier system. I'm going to give a prize to the person in the chat. And this is a very specific question. I don't expect you all to be at this level of technical knowledge. But if that was a test level 4, PL4 barrier system, what weight of vehicle in tons do you think it's been tested to contain to redirect? All right, have a guess. You don't lose any points for getting it wrong. Nothing happens in the live session do you lose marks or get marks for. It's just a chance to win a prize and interact. So let's have some guesses on, good, I've seen them coming in. Now, while those come in, Kathy, any questions for me?
Yeah, thank you, Ken. So the question is, can you show an example where standards have been followed that lead to unsafe results?
Yep, I've got a couple I'm going through. So this is one. I mean, I suppose as we get a few answers in, there are times when following standards actually increases risk in that context. This one I wouldn't say increases risk. It's just not doing the job that it could be doing. It's not as effective as it could be. Those standards are just not effective. And the result has, come through. Pretty much a brand new, like multi-billion-dollar road has opened, and then somebody's killed fairly recently after it opens. I mean, imagine that if that was a rail line and it opened, and within a period of a few months somebody was killed, the line would be shut down, and there would be major overhauls in the safety. But that's sort of not necessarily how we look at roads at this stage. We're trying to change that. Right, do we have any guesses? We did. We had everything from about 2 tons up to about 10
ton.
Well, whoever said 10 ton, they can have a prize. I'm tempted to give 8 tons a prize as well. Let's give out 2 prizes. The reason I would say that is because we're just in a transition between an old crash test protocol, NCHRP 350, into MASH, and one was around an 8-ton vehicle, and now we're up to a 10-ton vehicle. So I didn't specify which test protocol, so we can give them both that. But the point being, sorry, Kathy.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah, no, tell us what the point being is. Oh, no, you're going to have a drink now. I was going to ask you some questions. Doesn't the containment level depend on the speed of the vehicle?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
The test level is a actual test that happens at a certain speed that has some specific requirements in that test. And you're right in the sense that those tests happen at certain speeds. All right. And there's yeah, most of the tests happen at 100 kilometers per hour. There's some 80 kilometer per hour tests, and then there are some lower tests as well. But if you're thinking about designing barrier systems, yes, you would, if you have certain speed environments, be able to use certain test level barrier systems in lower speed environments. So you'd be able to go down to like a test level 2 for a lower speed environment, but you'd be able to test level 4. But like test level 3, 4, 5, and 6, they're all tested at 100 kilometers per hour. Actually, 6 I think is at 80 as well as 100. But anyway, the point being that test level 4 barriers are not going to contain that vehicle. That vehicle will be more than 10 tons, either loaded or not loaded. So there's no way that barrier, that barrier is not expected to contain a vehicle of this mass. Now, that may have been a decision, but we've got one tragic incident there where the driver has lost their life hitting the gantry. We also have another potential catastrophic event with the gantry coming down over the carriageway. Now, in this case, it didn't, which we're very lucky for, because I think it would have resulted in a lot more death and serious injury. But the thing is here that nobody is arguing that standards and guidelines were not met. But what your job as a road safety auditor is to try to predict this sort of stuff, right, when it's a design on the page, and say, this motorway is going to be carrying a lot of large, heavy vehicles, and in some higher risk spots, like around gantries, drop-offs onto other roads, drop-off on a level crossing, I think we might need to go to a higher test level containment or a higher containment level. Okay, and then you would put that in your audit. Now, standards have all been met, but you're saying, I'm not sure in this context whether that standard actually is appropriate. Now, some people at this point in the course get a little freaked out and they go, oh my God, I don't know what is test level 4. I don't know enough about barriers. Am I cut out to be a road safety auditor or a safe system auditor? Okay, first thing I want to say there is that you're just starting out this process. Second thing I want to say is you undertake audits in teams, right? And you gather a team of people who have different knowledge sets, and people, if you're doing a job like this, you'd have somebody who really knows barriers if that's not you. Okay. And the third one is that there is a huge benefit to just a logical set of eyes looking at a project, okay, and asking really good questions. Like, is that barrier going to stop big vehicles? Is that barrier going to stop small vehicles? What's going to happen if motorcyclists hit that barrier? Is that barrier going to stop pedestrians crossing or make them go into a certain way? Now, obviously, for this context, you'd be thinking, are there even pedestrians here? And if there are, maybe that's some other issue we've got to deal with. But just logically asking questions and thinking of scenarios where people could be killed or seriously injured is what we want out of road safety auditors. So that's actually the vehicle, and that's the test. And it is 100 kilometers per hour, 25-degree impact. And that's what it would contain. So we're getting out a couple of prizes there. Any other questions at this stage, Kathy?
Tell us about the crash angle.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's some simple physics around the energy of a crash, and the test protocol, as I said, there is either 25 degrees or 20 degrees angle crashes. And, your energy that will be imparted on the barrier system is, the product of the weight, the speed, and the angle. And those are set, and then you crash the vehicle. So again, like if you've got a barrier system and you predict vehicles will hit it at angles, far greater than 25 degrees, in a lot of, the crash scenarios that you're sort of predicting, you might need to think about upping your test level or changing something else. That's a good point. Let me give another example of, where standards are met and we still see some challenges. So this one is not an existing road. This is a design. I will zoom in on it in a sec. But what we've got here is this major new subdivision happening down here, okay? And this is massive, massive stuff. It's got like a shopping centre and hundreds and hundreds of apartments and other townhouses and cafes and the like. It's big. And so they are creating a new intersection here with traffic signals to access into this new development. And there's a duplication of this sort of existing road happening as well. So let's zoom in a bit here. And we're looking at, this is where the new access is, Main Street, they've labelled it there. Now, I'll put a little red square up here, and this is a vehicle, okay? So we're imagining being in this vehicle, and we're travelling along at, it's a 60-kilometre speed zone, so maybe going 65 or something. And we travel along here, and oh, whoa, we're in a turn lane. Okay, this is what we call a trap lane. Okay, now a trap lane Kathy, we should work out who named it a trap lane back in the day and give them a prize, because that's just beautiful naming of an issue, because it's exactly what you find yourself. You're trapped, and then we know, all right, we know absolutely that we will have rear end crashes and we will have side swipe crashes. And that's because the driver of this vehicle will realize this at some point, and then they will try to change lanes into other vehicles. They will not realize it, and then this vehicle will stop abruptly in front of them. And we know we have road safety challenges here. Now, a trap lane is one of these interesting ones where it is discouraged in road design. But this meets standards, okay? So again, this is where we can be injecting and saying, hey, you're creating a trap lane. You plan to build a trap lane. This is going to cause trouble. And then giving them some ideas on how they can rectify this. Now, as a road safety auditor, some of you are probably road designers or people who have been involved in this sort of stuff, and you know the challenges that are faced here. Like, you don't need to know this site to know what they're probably dealing with. They're probably dealing with land acquisition challenges, services, potentially cultural heritage, environmental challenges, traffic flow modeling challenges, right? It is not easy to design and build something like this. You've got so many constraints on it. As a road safety auditor, we have this luxury that we are only concerned about safety. That's what we're here to do, okay? And that's one of the reasons we don't let the designer undertake a road safety audit of their own job. It's one of the reasons. Because they've got too much going on, too much to think about, too many competing demands and challenges and things that they're trying to design in and out and think about. We come in, complete focus on safety, and present those issues that we think could present death or serious injury to our community. And then we try to help them a little bit with ways that they could lessen that.
Ken, sorry, before you do move off this one, is very dear to my heart, this one, because I drive it regularly. Can you describe solutions to this problem?
Okay. So I mentioned there that our role as road safety auditors is to find these issues. And that's actually really, that's the bulk of that is our task. That really is all we have to do, is find this issue and hand it back to the designer and the project manager and the team to come up with ways to lessen that risk or to solve the issue. In practice, we provide some recommendations, some ideas, and some things that they could consider. But really, like, we cannot force a solution on these people. Okay? We can give them some ideas, but we don't know all of their challenges, their budget, the things that can't be moved, these sort of things. And that's not our job either. We're not in there to get into the detailed design and redesign this. We find the issue, we give them some ideas, and we let them choose. But what ideas can we give them, which is really the crux of that question. And then the reason I'm laboring on of not saying the solution, because the solution will be determined based on the context, the constraints, the challenges that they have. But the ideas which could lessen the risk here are, first of all, to actually create channelized right turns here. So instead of having this as a trap lane, you would have to merge into these lanes, right? And so your lane would continue straight. So make this a through. Okay, that's a really great way to eliminate the trap lane. Okay, so that's one. You could drop off one of the turn lanes, which would change the traffic modeling, but maybe you could extend the right turn lane back. So there's more storage. And so maybe you wouldn't have a double right, you'd have a single right, but with longer storage. So that's a possibility. You could ban the right turn up here and have them go around an alternate route. You could do some extensive line marking, overhead gantry system with warnings. You could angle arrows from back here, and you could have lots of warning signs. So you're not, eliminating the trap lane, but you're really enhancing and warning of it and trying to make people alert to that. So there's just a few off the top of my head. You could probably think about lots of different phasing ways to phase this to lessen the risk. So phase the intersection up that way and this one connected. Yeah, there's a few. But as I say, it's not for us to make the call. It's for us to flag the issue and hopefully help them out a little bit. Unfortunately, on this one, they didn't actually remove it. They did some line marking changes and some basic warning. And as Kathy has mentioned there, it remains an issue. So, road safety auditors don't have some magic powers. They certainly don't have legislative power to demand, removal of something like this. But there is no getting away from the fact that this was audited. This issue was flagged. It did change some things, but they didn't get it to that ultimate end that we would have liked. But it's their project. We were just advising. Okay. I'm going to play this little video and I might have to duck out of my screen and play another screen because I don't think my videos are playing in PowerPoint at the moment. Just check if it does. No, it's not going to play. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing there and I'm going to share another screen. Any other questions come up there, Kathy?
No questions, Ken. I wish you did have legislative powers, though. Get rid of that trap lane. That would have been good. Maybe next time.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to play this video. This is a crash. And what I want everybody to do is have a look at the road environment. And I want you to think about what factors in the road environment may have influenced the chance that this crash occurred, may have influenced this crash occurring. Now, I will try and play it a few times, so you'll see it a few times. Are you seeing the screen, Kathy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's
we're looking at the back, and we'll change to look out the front as this vehicle passes us. Okay, I'm going to play it again. And what I'm asking you to do is look at the road environment. So I'm talking about, the infrastructure, the surrounding area. What may have contributed to this crash happening from the infrastructure perspective? What may have? It's hard. Now, we are doing a bit of crash investigation here, which is not what auditors do, but we're trying to learn from this for future designs.
Of responses coming through. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, it's great that you're sharing your comments with everyone. So if you're not sure, just click on the three dots next to where you type in your comment and change it to everyone.
Last time, I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to jump back to my PowerPoint slides, which hopefully I can get working again, because I'm seeing a few ideas come in. Okay. So we're looking at what in this road environment could have influenced this crash. Now, the first thing I want to say sorry, I'm just reading comments as they come in. Kathy, good group.
Yeah, I'm going to give away lots of prizes.
I mean, lots of people who are looking at this intersection and questioning different aspects of it, but saying, what may have contributed to this crash? So let's have a look at what people are saying. And I apologize if I don't talk to yours, because we've got so many good ones in. And yeah, jump in when you want, Kathy, with prizes. The first thing, it's interesting to note that there's a bit of confusion about what the control at this intersection is. Is it a roundabout? Is it not a roundabout? And that's an interesting sort of finding. And that actually aligns really well with the way road safety auditors should be thinking. Because what we are, would possibly a driver approaching this be confused? Hang on, am I approaching a roundabout or am I approaching something else? Okay, if we're confused looking at this, odds on some driver in some state, maybe they're tired, maybe they're slightly intoxicated, maybe they're, distracted by something. They may be confused also. And you notice that for me, and I want it to be for you, the fact that they might be tired or intoxicated or distracted or slightly distracted or the like, That's not my concern. Okay? Because we are looking at the infrastructure, and we know that people drive in all states of consciousness. Do we want that? No. Oh, well, we want everybody to be sober and alert and well rested, and like, but that's not how the community drives. So what we have to be doing is saying, okay, how is our infrastructure contributing to this? And are there ways we can create intersections and road lengths that cater for people's, lack of concentration, or fact that they haven't slept for a while, or the like? Okay, you can get as angry as you want about that. No, we should be getting old drivers to be alert, and we're not dealing with the issue. Well, that's just not true. Like, if you do that, you're just putting your head in the sand and ignoring the fact that that's how a huge bulk of New Zealanders drive. Okay, so yes, we're going to work on that, and there's lots of good people working on it, lots of enforcement, behavioural change initiatives and the like. And if that's what you think is the most important thing, go and become a behavioural change person. But if you want to be thinking about how do we use the infrastructure to alter the chance of a crash and the severity of the crash, you need to move that blame out. Stop saying, oh, that white ute driver is obviously, intoxicated or something like that, and say, what do we got here in our road environment that could have either prevented this crash or lessened the severity of it? And I am seeing some really good things that are coming in here now. So some people are saying the width of this intersection sort of encourages higher speeds. The straight alignment through there, I think that's a really good one, Kathy. So anybody who sort of said that, I think, that's going to encourage higher speed. Some people pointing out signage and signage potentially blocking other signage. I wouldn't say that's a major influencer, but it's certainly this kind of things auditors in the precision might be looking at. You've got signs blocking other signs and these sorts of things. Now, there's a comment in there, lack of backdrop. And I think that's intriguing. It's not the sort of technical term we would use, but it's absolutely the principle that I'm very interested. And some others talking about not enough visibility of the intersection and the like. And I think this is really sort of fundamentals of road safety auditing, is understanding that if we are providing a road environment, it should be clear what is coming up and what the requirements of the road user are, be that a pedestrian, a cyclist, a motorcyclist, a car, or a truck. The geometry of this intersection is a straight road in and a continuing road on the other side that goes straight. And there are power poles and lights that just continue on straight down there. This is what we call, in road safety auditing or safe system auditing, in fact, road safety engineering all around, visual deceit. Okay, it is a characteristic of the road environment that is deceiving the driver in this case. So you won't be able to get a driver to articulate this to you, right? But subconsciously, the continuation of the power poles, the continuation of the lights, the straight alignment means that some drivers approaching this intersection will not know that they have to give way, or they will realize that far too late. And they will overshoot the intersection just the way this driver has. Okay? Visual deceit. Now, this is the challenge. And I say this is, one of the most exciting things about being an auditor, is that we have to predict this before it happens. We have to look at the design on the page, maybe before they build this, and we have to say, what is a driver approaching going to be seeing? what are they subconsciously going to be confused by, and you know, what's going on here. So that see-through effect, or the visual deceit we're creating. Actually, visual deceit is an overarching term. See-through effect is a subset of visual deceit, amongst other visual deceit. Yeah, perceptual countermeasures, like you've probably seen maybe on social media, or those sort of 3D crossing points and the like, where they, you know, artistically painted it. That's visual deceit, trying to be used in a positive way. You're trying to deceive the driver. Funnily enough, we did it. We trialed that about 20 years ago, and you know, discovered it really doesn't work. But of course, social media, you know, getting all excited by that. So what else do we see here? And Kathy, you've been.
Yeah, Ken, question for you. So there's many responses about, you know, the signage and line marking. I guess the question is, in the lead up to this video, when we were looking at the rear and looking ahead, how much is line marking and signage here going to make a difference when you've got that, you know, line of power poles, the line of trees, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So just a bit like the trap lane that we saw in the previous one. I mean, the geometry and the fundamentals of that design mean that the issue is still there. And as you're trying to put lines and signs, you're trying to sort of lessen the risk of an issue through administrative controls. And you know, everybody probably knows hierarchy of control and everything like that. You're not really dealing with the issue. You're lessening the likelihood of it. So it's going to help. And there's better signs that we can use. We can use active signs that light up when vehicles are coming in, and we can more enhanced sign and double up signs, and you know, all of that. But we're still sort of left with this inherent geometric challenge. Okay. So there are lots of things that as an auditor you would look at. Yes, you would be looking at that see-through effect, the visual deceit. You'd also be looking at the signs and the lines and the sight distances and all of that, and the speeds of approach and the speeds of the other vehicles. But now the crash has occurred, and that light post was in that spot, but it breaks away, doesn't it? It's interesting. It's very interesting. Now, that light post is a particular type of light post called a slip-based. Now, I must admit, I've never seen a slip-based light post that has the top breakaway like that. But nonetheless, I'm not too concerned by that. Some people get a bit concerned about that dropping onto the vehicle. I'm not too concerned about that. But it's interesting that that light post was designed to break away. Okay? Now, it could have been that somebody did a road safety audit, and they said, you know, I'm concerned about that light pole. You've got it as a rigid light pole, but I want it to be a frangible light pole. Now, frangible is the overarching term again. Slip-based is one way we can create a frangible pole. I would say, and this is just based on speeds and my knowledge of the biomechanics of injury, that the decision to make that slip-based, that pole, in this instance, has prevented a serious injury or death of not the white ute driver, but actually the other driver that was just driving along and then got moved into it. Due to the fact that they dissipated energy over that distance, rather than a more instantaneous stop. Now, I think somebody in the chat there sort of questioned, do we need that light bulb there? And that's a great question to ask as a road safety auditor. Do we need that there? Can we move it? Can it be relocated? Can we do that? But also the question of, can this be a slip-based pole? Now, a slip-based pole is an amazing bit of road safety engineering. And for those who don't know it, I mean, I know a lot of you will, but it's essentially you have a collar and a shear plane on the bottom of the light pole. And you can see when impacted from the side, it shears. Now, when you've got your torque, as in the weight and the wind, it's going to lean on the bolts, but they'll shear off on impact. So just brilliant engineering. Okay. And, here's one up near New Plymouth. You can see that the speed and that a vehicle must have hit this slip-based light pole to pierce through a reassurance sign. No injuries. So, you could imagine if that was a rigid light bulb, it would have destroyed the vehicle and the occupants. So that's slip-based. There is another type, and I don't expect too many people to know this. Actually, no, let me go. I'll ask that question in a second. But as a road safety auditor, you're going to be given things like this, or a safe system auditor, you're going to be given things like this in amongst a big design set. Right? And your job is to look at that, read through all the little bits and pieces there and say, okay, they're putting in new lighting, okay, which means there'll be new light poles. What type of light poles are they using? Are they going to be slip-based? Are they going to be rigid? And I'm worried about vehicles leaving the road, hitting those. Now, let's just have a look at this little bit of road environment. Now, what if they decided to put slip-based poles at these locations? Is that a good idea? These ones all slip-based? Okay, Hugo, very quickly onto it. Prize there, please, Kathy. We also need to think about where they may fall. Okay, so we know these break away and they fall. That's what they're designed to do. But again, you need to contextualize this. And this is where, standards and guidelines, again, there are some things that sort of tell you where generally to put these, but you can often meet standards by putting slip-based poles in or putting rigid poles in, and in the context, it becomes a danger. So there is another type of pole that is categorized as frangible, and I will give a prize again for this, but I don't expect anybody to come up with the answer because it's a bit specific. Does anybody know the other type of pole? So I said slip-based poles, and then we've obviously got rigid poles, which they're not designed to break away, they're just rigid poles. Anybody know the other one?
Did you secretly mutter it there, Ken, accidentally?
I don't think I did. There's a picture of it.
That's all right. Jubin got it. Is it frangible? No. Oh, my mistake.
No, I've been saying frangible quite a bit because frangible is the overarching.
Ooh, loving the guesses coming through. Collapsible, ground planted, crumple.
These are good. They're all crumple and collapsible are very good. Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Ooh.
Impact absorbing.
Nice.
But the principle that everybody's saying there, crumple, collapsible, dampening, we're all sort of right. It just happens to be called an impact absorbing pole. But it sort of does what people are saying there. It doesn't split, doesn't shear at the base, and it's designed to deform and to sort of contain around them. So yeah, the reason I sort of labour on about this one as a specific one is that it's quite a common road safety audit thing that we find that the choice of the type of pole, actually I'll come back to that. The choice of the type of pole is important. Sorry, I should say I've gone back, so that's still the same Wally. Don't add more Wallies because I've gone back a slide. Yeah, there's a rule of thumb. Low speed environments, you're either going to use an impact absorbing or a rigid pole, because you don't need, usually because you're worried about pedestrians, power lines, other things in these low speed contained environments. And the energy means that, you can contain it around the vehicle here, or if they hit a rigid pole, it's not going to be enough energy to seriously injure or kill the driver. But the slip-based pole in higher speed environments. And just a couple of other little audit findings, thinking about where poles will fall in the design. But when they're built, you just want to check that the height is right, the height of the shear plane. This is Max, one of our senior auditors, just checking shear plane height on a recently constructed roundabout to make sure it's not too high, because vehicles will snag on it. It's useless then. It's not too low, which is a better scenario, but it may not just shear in the exact function we want.
And in terms of this sort of poll, would you put these where vulnerable road users would be about?
Impact absorbing.
Mm.
Yeah, this is a bit of a balance, and you don't get any direct guidance in standards or guidelines or anything like that. And it needs to be a judgment based on the context. In an inner city environment, no, I'd be making sure vehicle speeds are low, using local area traffic management, like, and I'd use rigid poles. In an outer environment where speeds are high, right, I'm going to use the slip-based poles because the danger to the vehicle occupants is probably the big one. And, any areas there are pedestrians, I want to, lower vehicles. In these sort of mid environments is where these work. So they just generally contain in a tighter envelope than a slip-based pole. They do still come down, but they contain closer within the vehicle. But yes, there is still a chance that, somebody in the vicinity might get hit. It's just a tighter vicinity than a slip-based pole, which they can go. We saw one, catapulted through a reassurance sign up near New Plymouth there. I think we better take a quick break, Kathy, and I better speed along when we get back. So let's just take 2.5 minutes and we'll get back into it after 2.5 minutes. Fill your coffee up. Now, I saw a question came in just as others get themselves comfortable about how do slip-based poles perform in the wind. Great question. I've been doing a lot of digging into that and investigating over different periods of time. I mean, they have to meet the wind loading requirements in RSA NZ 1170. So yeah, I mean, they've been designed to cater for a certain wind load, which actually, if you dig into it, is fairly cyclonic conditions, which some of you experienced recently. But it's really major wind. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go a bit faster now. If I go a bit faster, you can watch the recording and watch it a few times if you want. But I need to kick on with a few things at this stage. Okay, I think I've stressed this a lot. Road safety audit is proactive. Black spot or crash reduction study, that's the reactive one. Should you look at crash history as part of a road safety audit or safe system audit? Well, answer is up to you. There is no specifics on that. I know I've worked with auditors that do, I've worked with auditors that refuse to, and that's all fine. The thing is that the crash history should not drive your assessment and your audit, okay? The fact that there may not be crashes at a location doesn't mean risk doesn't exist there. The fact that there are crashes there may not be what you think will happen in the future. A lot of safe system auditing and road safety auditing is done on designs And some people will argue that the crash history is irrelevant because the whole scheme is changing. You know, if you've got a give way controlled intersection and they're building a roundabout and you're asked to do the road safety audit, safe system audit of the roundabout, what point is the crash history? You're changing the whole form of this intersection. And that's what you're asked to do is when it's a roundabout, you know, will anybody be killed or seriously injured then? That's your role. Have they thought about pedestrians crossing? Have they thought about cyclists getting through that area? Yeah, is it clear that it's a roundabout coming up? Yeah, are the crossfalls good? Are we going to have heavy vehicles rolling over? They're the kind of things you want. You're not going to get that from the crash history, are you? Because it's not a roundabout at the moment. So yeah, it's up to you. I mean, my personal way that I go about it is I do my audit without the crash history. And I get my head clear what I think the risks are. Then I might look at the crash history and just see if it tells me anything that I didn't know or predict. Like occasionally, and it's very occasionally that it actually tells me something that I don't already know. Occasionally I go, ooh, wow, there's a lot more pedestrians than I thought involved in crashes here. Right? Or, oh, motorcyclists are way overrepresented here. I don't know what's going on there. We might need to alter something. But, you know, in the bulk of cases, crash history not telling me anything that didn't know just from logically looking at it and watching. Okay, there's lots of pedestrians here. Okay, there's, oh, yeah, oh, wow, there's a lot of motorcyclists here. So it's up to you. Road safety audits have been around quite a while. They've been evaluated a lot and they are very effective. Quick prize though, you can tell me, for the person who can tell me, why do we get this massive benefit cost ratio, 36:1, for design stage road safety audits, and we still get like 6:1 is still a massive BCR, benefit cost ratio. Every dollar you invest, you get $6 in return for existing roads. Can anybody maybe tell me why they think that it's so much more for design? Still great for existing roads, but
I quite like Ben's response here because someone's time is cheaper than diggers.
yeah, you've been a prize for that. Yeah, that's right. Changing lines on paper or in CAD is a lot cheaper than getting out there and physically altering the infrastructure. Now, sometimes, you know, the changes in the design have some costs associated with them more than maybe what it was. Sometimes not. Sometimes you save money. But, you know, in general, that's why we see this massive benefit because nothing's been built yet, and then you can build it safer as opposed to it's there and wow, oh, you know, we've got to alter this. So, oh, it looks like a few people getting in on that. Kathy, you might have to run out of prizes in this course, Kathy. They're pretty good.
I'm going to do an Oprah. Everyone gets a prize.
No, don't do that yet.
Okay.
Okay. So what is a road safety audit? I'm going to talk about road safety audit, and then I'm going to talk about safe system audit. As I say, they're sort of similar, same. I'm not going to read through the full page of text that's in the Austra's Guide to Road Safety Part 6. It's in there. It defines what a road safety audit is, lots of dot points and all of that. You can look at that yourself. That is in the learning management system. You've got a copy of Part 6 in there. You can have a read of it. You know, a key paragraph out of that is a road safety audit is a formal examination of a future road or traffic project or an existing road or road-related area in which an independent, qualified team reports on the project's crash potential and actual safety performance respectively. Okay? Formal. Audits are formal. This is not a quick check. It's not something you just, you know, get thrown somebody's design and give it back to them in an hour with your road safety audit. No, that's not a road safety audit. There's a formal process to follow, and I'll take you through that. So you can do it for future or existing, so designs or existing roads or road-related areas, shared paths or car parks or the like. You have to be independent. I said you can't be the designer. You can't be the project manager. You can't be the developer you're compromised in terms of your independence if you're any of those sort of things. Okay, you have to be independent because, first of all, you can't proofread your own work. I mean, you try to, and you write a letter and you read it, and you go, yep, it's perfect, and you hand it to a colleague, and they read it, and they come back with all the errors, and you go, how did I miss that? Like, I read it. It's because your mind's too much into it, and you can't see those things. So that's one reason. I talked about all of those other issues. Yeah, these project managers have cost issues, timeline issues, they've got services, and they've got angry residents, and they've got, all of this, right? And it can just alter the way they potentially see safety. Not overtly, and not consciously sometimes, but they're sort of, so there are a couple of reasons. Qualified, and you've got to really have done a course like this. You've got to understand the process, and we're thinking about crash potential. So the safe system audit are new guidelines released by Waka Kotahi. Okay, a lot of the same stuff here. All right, their definition of safe system audit: formal, still formal, robust technical assessment. Okay, we're into, we've got to do some technical assessing. Road safety risks associated with transport improvement renewal projects that are completed by independent and qualified audit teams. They consider the safety of all people, reinforcing that this is for everybody. This is not just cars, not just trucks, not just bikes. This is everybody. Completed by applying safe system principles. I'll talk about that in a second. I said you ensure that the design and network operates as safely as practicable by eliminating fatal and serious potential. It's intended to support the delivery of a safe system and is not a review of compliance with standards. They even spell that out really clear. What is the safe system? Okay, if you are in industry in New Zealand and you have not heard of the safe system, you've been living a little bit in under a rock there, but I'm going to very briefly talk about it, but you need to skill yourself up on the safe system. The safe system is represented in New Zealand by this diagram, and it's really the vision for a safe transport network. But it's got some key principles. Okay, we strengthen all parts of the transport system, so it's not just the infrastructure. It also acknowledges that all of those other areas are important. But for us as auditors, we're all about the infrastructure. Okay, this is hugely important for us as auditors. We design for human vulnerability. You need to start understanding the biomechanics of injury, how much force the human body can handle in different crash types, and making sure that any of the road network out there sits within that. We'll talk about that more in a second. We have a shared responsibility for improving safety, so we can't just push blame to a driver. We, managing the road system, have to look at what can we do? What's everything that we can do? We use evidence. We think about health, well-being, livable practices. We make safety a critical decision-making priority. And then this one again is really important. We promote good choices, but plan for mistakes. Okay, so the two that are probably most important from a road safety auditor or safe system auditor are these two. Okay, the others are very, hugely important road safety, but those two are really important. Quick quiz here, another chance to win a prize. I think this is a poll, Kathy, if we can get the poll up and running. I don't know if we've got that there, but I'll ask. See it. Now, a poll one, you're not marked on this, remember? Nothing in the live session you're marked on. Just have a guess at it. It should have popped up on your screen. And we're just checking you're on the same page. Some of these you've been told. One at the end, we haven't talked about it at all. Well, unless you came to the safe system assessment, of course.
So that has popped up, and we're getting some responses in. So the first question is true or false? The road safety audit is another name for a check against standards. True or false? The second question is you can audit your own design. True or false? Third question, which of these is not one of the common principles of the SAFE system? Is it eliminate mistakes on the road, shared responsibility, or people make mistakes? So which one is not a common principle of the SAFE system? And out of left field here, at what speed did Usain Bolt cross the finish line in his world record 100-metre sprint? Just in case you're wondering, it's a similar speed that wombats can run at. Hang out for trivia like that next session, people.
You get in early for the sessions. Kathy's got all sorts of weird and wonderful questions. Right, we've got to keep moving, Kathy. So
okay, all right.
Go.
People are entering 1, 2, 3, and we'll end that. And let's have a look. We have 100% false for a road safety audit is another name for check against standards.
I love it. People are listening.
People are listening. You can audit your own designs. False, another 100%. Amazing. It's a good group, Ken. Yeah. Which of these is not one of the common principles of the SAFE system? It is to eliminate mistakes on the road. You can't quite do that. Most people got that one, and most people went for 44 kilometres an hour for Usain Bolt.
And they're right there too, most people. So the eliminate mistakes on the road, I mean, that would be great, but it's just not going to happen. Like, we're dealing with humans here. Maybe off some point where you get humans completely out of this system and not making any decision. Like, but we that's not a principle. We're not aiming to do that. We want to minimize and manage, minimize mistakes and manage mistakes. That's what we're doing. 44 kilometers an hour is correct. So why on earth am I asking that? Well, if we parked the car at the end of Usain Bolt's lane and he ran into that at 44 kilometers an hour, is he going to survive? Well, yes, most likely will, because he's very well built for running into stuff, because he's the hulk of a human. Pick any of us mere mortals up, will we survive and fling us at a car at 44 kilometers an hour? Probably not. Certainly our parents and grandparents wouldn't, because, you know, that's how the human body has evolved. It's pretty good correlation, actually. This maximum running speed of an individual is pretty much the speed that they can run into a tree and survive. You know, they mess themselves up a little bit, but they usually recover and they lead a normal, healthy life. So this curve down here, and the great man's up there somewhere on the curve in terms of the speed of the collision, not speed limit. Don't put speed limits out of your mind for now. This is just the speed of impact. This is just biomechanics. This is physics and biomechanics. This is the chance that that person will be killed. And the blue line there is like our whole community. So that's, you know, Usain Bolt's a specific one. But generally, you know, in that 10 to 20 to 30 kilometre per hour, people survive when their car strikes the pedestrian. Up around 60, 50, 60, 70, they usually kill on the direct strike. I'll jump through that because it's not working. Side impact crashes. This is the bullet vehicle. That's the one that does the damage, the bullet vehicle. Target vehicle here. Bullet vehicle speed down here. And target vehicle occupant death, right? 30, 40, 50 kilometers per hour, generally survivable, sort of, you know, 70, 80 up, highly likely that the occupant of the target vehicle struck by a bullet vehicle at that speed at a 90-degree angle, it will result in death. And head-on crashes, we see that sort of 60, 70 kilometers per hour is generally somewhat survivable, and up around the 90, 100, 110 is likely to result in death. That's the speed of each vehicle. So what we do is we sort of draw this line here around that 10%. The reason it's there is because this is where we have an exponential kick up. Things go really bad really quick after this point. and we're very interested in those specific speeds, 30, 50, 70, and they're called the safe system threshold speeds for those particular crash types. Now, I've put those in a slide there for you with some extra ones, and I'll continue to provide you information about crash type and the speed that we think is sort of that threshold where things go really bad in small increments of increases after this speed. And the old model for a road safety audit used to be that we look at a design or we look at an existing road, we identify the issue, we give it a risk rating, and then we recommend some treatments. The new safe system assessment model in New Zealand starts off with a safe system assessment matrix. I'm not going to give you all the details of how to do this, but you need to know that if you're part of a safe system audit team now, you're going to be working with somebody who's done the safe system assessment course and can pull together this matrix and help you with that, or you've got to have a bit of a go at that yourself. Okay, it's not the focus of this course. The focus of this course is sort of from here down. You still identify issues, you rate those issues, but you're thinking about those biomechanics of injury that I just talked about. You make treatment recommendations, and then you categorize those treatments, because as Kathy was asking those questions, like, okay, signs and lines. Well, is that going to be as effective as a roundabout? No, it's not. Or changing the whole geometry of that intersection. And so we need to help by not just saying, here's some treatments you could do, say, here's some treatments, and here's sort of how effective they will be, and categorize it. Now, the easiest way for me to do this is just walk you through an example of a finding and writing it up. Okay, here's a new intersection plan. Okay, this is not built, this is not there, there's nothing there at the moment. Well, there's a road, but there's no intersection. They're planning to build a new intersection. Here it is. I've designed it up. Looking pretty good. Okay. So the thing that I'm interested in as a road safety auditor here is sort of predicting, well, I wonder what will happen with death and serious injury. How can this occur? And one particular issue I'm concerned about here is a vehicle turning here, maybe a large vehicle, somebody waiting here to go, and that blocking sight lines of a vehicle that's coming along here. Okay. Called a dynamic visual obstruction. Dynamic, because it's moving or can move, and visual obstruction. So dynamic sightline issue, but call it dynamic visual obstruction. Here we go. Let's have a look at one in real life. There you go. You can see the truck going to the turn. You can see a white car sort of on its shoulder there. Let's go a little bit further forward. Okay, looking good. The white car's going to go past. Truck's turning, and then if this car made the decision to go after that white vehicle, the whole time that silver vehicle was being masked by the truck. And we know that's a fairly common crash scenario. It's a right angle crash, it happens at speed, and we see death and serious injury resulting. Dynamic visual obstruction. So that, as an auditor, is what I've picked there off the design. Okay, this is not the same site, right? I just know that this is an issue. So I was able to look at this design and say, oh yeah, they're going to have a dynamic visual obstruction issue. If they build it exactly like that, that will be an issue. And there's potential we see some of our community killed or seriously injured because of it. So we write that up. We say, okay, for the intersection of blah, 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 the vehicle turning left may create a dynamic visual obstruction of motorists, the hold line, and some information about why this is an issue and the risks it causes. Elaborating a bit about the volume of vehicles, increasing risk, and a little statement here at the end, which is interesting. The design is consistent with current Austroads and VicRoads. This was done in Victoria, VicRoads design guidance. The auditors believe it still presents a safety issue. So there you go. The audit team has squarely said, hey, we know this meets standards, but it's an issue. Okay, I'm going to break this up for you. And this has taken me, I've been running road safety auditing for about 15 or 17 years. And only in the last few years have I actually worked out this formula to make people's life easier. The first thing you want to do when you write up the finding is to articulate the issue. So you're explaining that issue. Then you need to specify the crash. It does not matter how obvious it is. Okay, you need to say exactly what the crash is. So this one we see, this increases the likelihood of right through side impact crashes involving vehicles turning out of the side road. Okay, you just got to say it. Then you talk about risk factors. Anything that's going to increase the risk, decrease the risk. So in this one, we're talking about the volume of heavy vehicles turning left, the low volumes on the road. Okay, and then we say any standards or guidelines if applicable. Now, this slide here will help you no end in your assignments and your future auditing for that matter. But you want to get good marks in this course, take note of this slide, because our markers will be looking at your findings and saying, have they explained the issue? Have they articulated a particular crash? Have they given us any factors that increase or decrease risk? And have they given us any standards or guidelines if they were applicable? Okay, so risk equals like the chance of a crash multiplied by how bad that crash is going to be. So it's talked about sometimes as frequency times severity, or likelihood times consequence, or likelihood times severity, or frequency times consequence, however you want to describe it. Okay. In New Zealand, this is the risk matrix. So it's saying, what is the chance of a crash? And that takes into account exposure. Okay, for anybody who's now got their head in the exposure, likelihood, severity, this is exposure and likelihood combined. But what is the chance of a crash? And then how bad is it going to be? And you do that. You say, well, I think it's likely that a crash will occur. And I think when it does, it's going to be serious. And so the resulting risk is serious. Or I think it's very unlikely this crash will occur. And if it does occur, it's going to be minor. Well, that's a minor risk. Now, in terms of this, there's a little bit of guidance. It's saying, very likely as we're thinking that this crash will occur once a year. Very unlikely, we're thinking sort of once every 10 years or so that this will occur. And that's as much guidance as you get. So there's a bit of judgment in. Oh, sorry, I did put a disclaimer on that. That is held over from the 2013 New Zealand guidance. It's not specified in the Safe System audit guidelines, the newest ones, but you're going to need to make some sort of judgment in your mind, and that's a decent starting point. So then we're thinking about how bad is this crash when it's going to happen. So we've just thought about a crash, we've thought about a side impact, haven't we? Thought about a side impact crash. So we've got to think about, how bad it's going to be. So it's going to be pretty bad. It's going to be well above these tolerable levels because the speed on that road was 80 kilometers per hour, I think. So if we go up to 80 and we look at that, wow, we're in bad territory, aren't we? So I've put there very unlikely. Okay, now you might go, well, hang on a second. I've just seen this issue and I can't unsee it. And this is now burnt into my brain. But the reason I've gone with very unlikely is just that I know that there's relatively low volumes on that road. I know that people are generally fairly good at accommodating this in their practices. I know it takes a very, things need to line up for this to happen. The issue's there all the time, but actually transpiring to a crash, I think is very unlikely. And I know that because I've analysed thousands of these sorts of intersections in my time. And yes, if you have very high volumes, you'd be more than that. But actually looking at deaths and serious injury, we sort of see, one fatal in a 10-year period maybe would be sort of potential in these, and serious injuries around the same. So that's the sort of thing you start to get a bit of judgment on. The severity is going to be bad when it happens, right? There's no getting around that. This is going to be bad. This is fatal. And so we know the risk then is significant. You can see we've coloured it the same there as that one off the risk matrix. So it's clear. This is a significant risk. It sits to the right of what we are calling our safe system threshold, so serious injury and fatals, to the right of that. That's just something you know. That doesn't really play into a New Zealand safe system audit because, it does, but all of your risks tell you that. Anything that's significant or serious is something that does not align with safe system principles. If you're into moderate or minor, well, they're under safe system tolerances. You don't want those there, but if crashes are going to occur, we want them down this side. So then we need to categorize treatments and say, okay, well, what can we do about this? What can we suggest that they change? And there's lots and lots of things you can do at that intersection, from changing the intersection form to a roundabout or signalizing, or to changes in the line marking, changes in the geometry, warning signs, all sorts of things can be done. And we can categorize those into either primary or supporting. Primary being stuff that we say, well, it virtually eliminates the potential for fatal and serious injury at that intersection with those for that crash type. Supporting are things that are good. They're going to improve road safety, but they're not going to virtually eliminate that crash. And Now, I've put here, there's actually lots of examples of what's primary, what's supporting in the safe system assessment framework. But this is probably a part you're going to really struggle with, and we've got a whole sort of section dedicated to this coming up. So here you can see that the recommendations have come in. It says implement measures to reduce speed and/or angle of impacts at this location. This could be achieved with a roundabout, primary. If this cannot be achieved, implement measures to improve the sight lines at this location, such as increasing the offset of the left turn lane, relocating the hold line forward, provided it can be done safely, both supporting. Now, this is a really important one. The roundabout has been called the primary treatment because we know that we virtually eliminate side impact, vehicle to vehicle death and serious injury if a roundabout was put here. If we open up sight lines, right, we will reduce the chance of a side impact, but we don't eliminate the chance of death and serious injury resulting from a side impact. Same with adjusting where hold lines sit. So here's, an example of a way that, one of our team helped a region, and they put in a buffer. They actually made it a bike lane as well to address this issue because it opened up the sight lines, right? So that masking did not occur. But this is a supporting treatment, okay? The reason it's a supporting treatment, not a primary treatment, we've eliminated that masking, but it's not about the masking. It's about the crash of a vehicle like that. That can still occur. That can still occur at speed, right? We've really lessened the chance of it. We haven't eliminated that that crash type in the energy that is not tolerable. And just a little tip on that. So a primary treatment must either address the consequence of the crash or virtually eliminate the possibility. And that's got to include human error, mistakes, people running red lights, falling asleep, and all of that. As I say, we are going to give you a lot of practice at categorizing primary and supporting. So if you're still confused now, don't worry too much. It will give you a lot of practice on that. Now, Kathy, I'll take questions, and I also just want to check that you've got assignment topics for everybody ready to go.
Absolutely, certainly do, Ken. Always looking to give out assignments to people. Okay, so there's a comment that came through that New Zealand has a standard treatment for moving the left turn lane further to the left of the through lane. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Yep. This was on that earlier example you're showing.
Yep. Yep, there's some standard treatments around an offset. There's a few jurisdictions that do that. I was more showing it as the, this is the kind of thing auditors should be picking up.
And how about physical speed coming measures? Is this a primary or a supporting treatment? So speed humps.
Yeah, so it would depend where you did it and how you did it. That's a bit too generic. But if you slowed vehicle speeds on the major road, so the bullet vehicle, the one that's doing the damage, and you slowed that vehicle to within tolerable speeds, using raised platforms, speed humps and the like, then yes, that's a primary treatment. But if you put a speed hump, sorry, I'm going to go back just to clarify this because it's kind of important. If you put I'll use this one because it's kind of an easy one to draw on. If you put a speed hump back here, right, that's a supporting treatment. It wouldn't do much anyway. And because, okay, so your slow vehicles to come here, it's about this vehicle's speed and energy that's doing the killing. Right? So you'd need to, have your speed hump or your raised intersection there. That would slow that vehicle down to approach it. Then we're into primary territory. Okay.
Right. Thank you.
New Zealand has a template, right? Safety audit template, safety system assessment template, and that actually should be SSA because I have put the new template in, and it's a Word document and you will use it, and we're going to give it to you and you're going to use it for some of your assignments later. It's got drop downs, drop down the probability rating, drop down the severity rating, put in the risk resulting from that. It doesn't automatically do that for you. It'd be nice if it did, but you then look it up, select, the risk rating. Sorry, that's the next finding. That's a finding, and then you got to write lots of information in there. You'll use that. So very quickly, another example: right turn bay is too narrow. Well, that doesn't tell us anything as a reader, does it? That's not an audit finding, or it's a very bad finding in the way it's written up. It might be a good issue that they found, but they haven't written it up well. This is better, gives us some more information. From main road to side road is too narrow, increases potential for sideswipe crashes, cross roads, blah, blah, blah. This is excellent. And one of the reasons this is excellent is because I got a snip of the design and I can, without even reading all of this stuff, I can go, oh yeah, 2.9 meter right turn lane. Yep. Okay, I know which one they're talking about. I know where it is. And I already know the issues. I haven't needed to read this. So that is great. That is great. And then you can see there that it's broken down into those segments. What's the issue? What's the crash type? Side swipes and rear ends. What are the risk factors? This is going to be worse in wet weather and dark conditions. And are there standards and guidelines that support this? Just summarizing here, a road safety audit is not another name for just a site inspection or a quick check of a design or the like, or a black spot investigation. So it's really not that opportunity to do the detailed designing and redesign this project and work out all their issues. You're just flagging things and giving ideas. Not a review against standards. You don't use it to prioritize or rank project options. Okay, it's about taking one option and identifying the risks associated with that option. It's not a safe system assessment, although now a safe system audit incorporates a safe system assessment, so that's good. Not a safety and design check. That's a whole different thing about, can it be built safely? Can it be managed safely, maintained safely? And road safety auditors, I do like them. They're problem finders. That's where we've got to be. Solving the problem, added bonus and benefit. And we can audit all sorts of things: existing roads, designs, big projects, small projects, rural projects. In New Zealand, existing roads it's not an audit, okay? But I did put existing roads because other jurisdictions do that, and you can take their certificate and go auditing in Europe or Asia or Australia, and you will do existing conditions roads. In my last couple of minutes, I'm going to run through this because I think it's an important one. Here's a project. And what it is the local council are formalising this unsealed road, sealing it, formalising the intersection. Okay, that's the project. There it is done. Okay. The local government decided, we're improving things here. We're just making this all better, aren't we? I mean, we're sealing the road, so that's going to be great. We're putting some curb and channel down here. We're making this all good. We don't need to do a road safety audit because we're improving. We're going to improve things. So without knowing this intersection and not giving you much more detail on it, just type into the chat, what do you think influenced the big increase in the number of people killed and seriously injured after this job was finished? So we saw a big spike in community members being killed and seriously injured at this location. So what do you think might have contributed to this?
So, Ken, we've got some responses coming through. Increased speed, high speed, speed straight through the junctions, side road, straight through crashes, straight through head-on crashes, high speed, nicer pavement to race on.
Yeah. And these are all, anybody who said anything associated with sort of see-through and speed and the like, that's kind of what, like, yes, there's increased speed coming in on a sealed road than an unsealed road, so that's contributing, absolutely. But we actually saw quite an increase in crashes from this direction. And that's weird because it's the same approach. So let me show you on the ground. That's the new setup. Don't worry about the burnout marks. That's, but let's look from the other direction. And what this used to be was actually quite clear that was it was a very different looking road environment, unsealed. It's quite clear that something changed and vehicles were slowing down. We have an influence on visual deceit. But when it was sealed, it becomes this it looks like the road just continues through and overshoot crashes. So that was the dominant one. And the fact that no road safety audit was done because they said, no, we're just improving things. And the audit is so good at identifying things that they were just not going to see. And we could have, if we'd got in early as auditors, suggested a whole lot of things. It could have been splitter islands, it could have been offset the intersection, it could have been more advanced warning signs, it could have been roundabouts or other major treatments, which, maybe cost implications. They may not be able to do it, but we could certainly explore that issue and help them try to lessen it and have prevented some of the death and serious injury to the community that resulted from their construction or so-called improvement to this location. That's probably where I'm going to stop. I'll pick up at the types of audits when we come back next time. Great group. Kathy, let's give them an assignment.
Whoops. Yes, certainly. Let's do that. Thank you, everyone, for your part. Oh, there we go. Drop down a bit. Sorry about that. For your participation. So I'm just going to take you through the assignment and the learning management system. So thanks to the people who got in touch, and we have updated your logins and so on. Much appreciated. And thank you, Ken. That was a very good session.
Good group.
Getting a round of applause.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. All right, so what we're going to get you to, oh, here it comes.
There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so what you should be in, oh, lots of round of applause. It's all for me. What you should be in is the Road Safety Audit New Zealand program, and you've already done the pre-work and so on. Now, we are here at Module 1. So you need to do a short quiz, 10-question multiple choice style quiz, and that's where your how many Wallies appeared in this session question will be as well. But the one we're looking at more specifically is a research topic. And what we're asking you to do is we will assign you a topic at random, and you need to research your topic and create one of the following. And it can be a fact sheet, a cartoon, a short video, note the maximum of a minute, a TikTok, put something on the interwebs, a podcast or an audio file or a PowerPoint interpretive dance. We're really not fussy as to what you do. And we're going to give away prizes, of course, one for being the most creative way of presenting the information, a technically sound prize, and a most engaging. And we've also, we've made our staff do this as well. So there is an example video of one of our engineers who did one. Now, the topics generated at random, and I'm going to hit go now. And Ken, you're going to say stop when you want me to stop.
Stop.
Okay, great. So I will take a copy of this and pop it into the learning management system. But basically, Jeanette, you have cycle path intersections. Gary's got stopping sight distance. Anita has slip lane, stand up angle, and so on and so forth. And I'll pop that into the learning management system and send you an email at the end of this session. Now, Ken, how long should people spend on this?
Well, I mean, you can just spend sort of 10 to 15 minutes grabbing a few things off, doing a bit of Google searching, grabbing a few things, slap a fact sheet together, and that's fine. And that'll certainly, we're not overly hard at marking on this one. We just want to get you thinking about a topic, discovering, and then like. You want to have a crack at a prize, maybe you want to spend a little bit more on it, be creative, create a video, as you say, a TikTok or podcast thing. But really, yeah, don't cancel your weekend plans to do this. Just have a look at it. Really interesting road safety issues, and the reason we do this is so many things out there, and we just don't have time to go into them all. So you will discover a few, and you'll be able to watch some cool stuff from others, or look at a cool fact sheet from others about a topic like, I saw some interesting ones in there. What did we have? Y intersections, stopping sight distance, trap lanes are in there. Somebody got a clue into that. Dwell on red. I mean, there's a great, things you should know as a road safety auditor, because they're part of, treatments or issues that we should be looking at and identifying. So have a bit of fun with it. If you go, I can't find anything, I don't know what this is, or, I don't understand this, get in contact. Flick us an email, flick Kathy an email, flick me an email, and we'll point you at some stuff. But hopefully a bit of Googling and you'll work it out, and then you can go from there.
Hitting up our website from time to time, because Ken loves all of these topics, and I know there's a very good safe system snippet on Y intersections, for example. So if you find our website and search for something, you might, or you could even ask, what is it? The AI tool, the Chat GPT thing.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Good. Chuck it in that, see what it spits out. Although, yeah,
we haven't quite upgraded our plagiarism marking yet, but anyway, you can do whatever you like. It is due next Monday, the 27th. So we will meet again this Thursday morning. So same time, same place on Thursday. And then we'll catch up again for Module 3 next Tuesday. So if you get that one in on Monday, we'll mark them and hopefully have some prizes to award in Module 3.
Log in a little bit early before next session. Thanks for your time. Bye.
Thanks, Ken. Bye, everyone.